Good Saturday morning, everybody. You know, if there's one thing a lot of us can agree on, is that when you're working on a project or a campaign or a fundraiser, an Indiegogo, a Kickstarter, or a Patreon, it's always good to make sure that everybody is on the same page, especially those that are tasked with being the ones in charge of said campaign, said Kickstarter, said Indiegogo, Patreon, you name it. However, when it comes to that Rally for Sally campaign, let's just say that even though it started off great and still going strong, that basically during the past, several months, it's gone through some tumultuous waters, if you know what I mean. Some basically rough, very rough, dangerous waters as it tries to smooth sail itself to its, main goal. Because the main goal, basically, for the time being at least, is to get the character Sally Acorn, in as a playable, if not at first a lockable, but then playable character into the mobile games by Sega Hardlight, which are Sonic Forces Speed Battle and Sonic Dash and possibly Sonic Dash 2. Now, I bring all this up because of the fact that when I'm talking about the tumultuous waters, the dangerous waters that they went through, kind of get and starting to try to slowly get out of over the past several months. It all started basically because one of the people that was tasked with trying to get this campaign to achieve its goal, RK, and I'm just going to call him that because I'm sure you know who that is, basically showed that he wasn't exactly who he said he was. I mean, despite the fact that some people had warned those, like KJ and AH and even AW, of the fact that this guy was not what he seemed and you shouldn't involve yourself with him. Um, Basically, let's just say you learn while you go. Basically, sometimes you learn from your own stubbornness and from your own mistakes. And that's obviously what KJ, AW, and AH are doing right now. Because what happened with RK and DHT, I'm sure you know who that is here on YouTube. DHT has done several videos reading off a lot of, the conversations, Twitter and Discord wise and all that, that kind of tries to fill in the gaps as to what's been going on over the past several months. But basically, RK was basically RK was, like I said, not exactly what he said, who he said he was. Um, and KJ and AH and AW, have recently learned that because, despite the fact that one of them tried to defend RK, recently, AW came out and said, yeah, AH, you might want to look at this. And it turns out that a lot of stuff that, caused a lot of, rift and dissension and controversy was all because RK was planting the seeds for that. And, part of what was recently uncovered and exposed about him in the more recent session of um, conversations and tweets and Discord servers and all that, what really didn't surprise me when I read this was the fact that RK kept pestering Sega and that it took a Sega PR to ask him to stop doing it. Now, RK isn't no stranger to doing this. RK is actually somebody that, you know, from what I've dealt with in the past, or from what I've dealt with and seen in the past, is somebody that, will go to, well, I wouldn't say extremes, but will go to lengths that are unnecessary to achieve his goal, and he will not take no for an answer. I mean, I appreciate at one time, obviously before he went off the rails, I appreciate that he contributed his own retrospective video for my Sonic Saturday retrospective video series that I did years ago. The same retrospective series that Jaimitude, DJ Jaimitude to as well with his own video retrospective or contribution, if you will. So I appreciate what RK did there. Before I found out more about him and before he went off the rails. But still, RK is the kind of guy that, like I said, he doesn't take no for an answer, and he'll go to links that will basically get him banned from certain areas or from certain sites because he just will not take no for an answer. I mean, for example, like I said, going back to the days I dealt with him or kind of connected or kind of had contact with him in a bit, in some way. He would show me pictures of him standing outside the doors, getting ready to open the front door to what was at the time 20th Century Fox, now known as 20th Century Studios, just so he could get his Sonic movie off the ground. He even would say he went and talked with Paramount. He would talk with Universal, MGM, Disney, you name it, Warner Brothers. He would basically come out and said he did all this. And he even went as far as at one time here on YouTube to show everybody a fully animated scene or moment from to basically give people an idea of what his movie was going to look like. However, after that, we didn't see any more progress. We didn't get any more information of whether or not this became a reality or if he just decided to give up on it. But again, how this relates to what's going on now, it just shows you that RK, doesn't know how to take no for an answer. He doesn't. And that if he doesn't get what he wants, obviously he's going to cause a lot of trouble. He's going to make up, situations to make it look like somebody said something else when they didn't. I mean, he's even making it look like one of the female contributors to the, or at least associate contributors to the campaign, basically blasted, KJ and AW and those associated with them for stealing the campaign, stealing the account of Rally for Sally from AH, from RK, when in fact it was actually basically RK that was doing it himself. And on top of that, RK even would show up at the account, under a different alias. He would show up at the Twitter account under a different alias. And I'm sure the same goes for the Discord account or any accounts associated with Rally for Sally. He would show up under a different alias, and it would only take the noticing of how, certain paragraphs are typed up, certain wordings and stuff, for people to catch on to the fact that, hey, this guy is RK. This new guy is RK. It's too obvious. And the fact that he even in a more recent tweets and conversations that were exposed about him, he would even, reply to himself through the campaign. He would come onto the campaign and reply to himself under his different alias or something like that. So, yeah, to say RK caused a lot of trouble, a lot of rift, between those involved, that basically their main intention, first and foremost, is to get Sally Acorn in as a playable character, unlockable at first and then playable for the mobile games by Sega Hardlight. To say that, he's caused a rift between them is an understatement. I mean, the original goal, like I said, is to get Sally into those games. And that goal was created due to the fact that, at the time, everybody agreed that it seemed kind of unfair that you had these new characters that Tangle the Lemur and Whisper the Wolf become or be announced as soon to be unlockable, playable characters in these mobile games, way before the likes of Sally Acorn and Bunny Rabbit and Antoine and Dulcie from the original Sadie M and Archie books would get a chance. And those characters that I mentioned, the Freedom Fighters, were in existence long before Tangle and Whisper. So yeah, basically the reasoning for the goal's existence is because of that, if not more so than it was before. But again, like I said at the beginning, this just shows you that when you run a campaign, when you do an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter or a Patreon, a fundraiser of any kind, that you have to make sure that those you involve in that campaign are not, in it for themselves. Because apparently some of the things that were exposed about RK was he would give himself credit about the campaign's success. That he would give himself credit of of this and that. He would be the one that says, I'm the one that provided the moolah or the finances to get these people to come out, these voice actors and celebrities to come out and, say support Rally for Sally. I mean, the fact that he even tried to guilt Ryan Drummond, the voice of the voice of this video game Sonic, if you will, Sonic in the video games. To get him to basically expose the fact that he tried to guilt Ryan into doing that. It's like, seriously, what's your problem? All we need to do is just have fans come out and support the campaign, show the love for the character, and say, hey, look, all we want is to have this character included into these mobile games so that you have more variety. I mean, that's what I basically said at the end of my review of Sonic Force's Speed Battle, the recent one I did, the recent overview review that I did on it. That basically, if you add a character like Sally to the lineup of characters you already have, it gives you more replayability for that game. And that's the truth. That is the truth, without a shadow of a doubt. But to me, honestly, again, it just shows you that you got to be careful about those that you involve. I mean, obviously, the people at Sega, mostly the Sonic team here in America, appreciate, the cry, the rallying to get Sally into the games, and obviously you can tell by the genuine, appreciation that they want to come out and make that announcement that she's going to get involved, that she's going to be part of the mobile games. But till that day, all we can still do is show our support. Put hashtag Rally for Sally into anything that's Sonic related, and hopefully, we will get an answer this year, possibly, that she will be included. But in closing, like I said at the beginning, you got to be careful about those you involve in a campaign like this, or in a Kickstarter, or an Indiegogo, whatever the case may be. Because even though they may say they have good intentions at first and that they are on the same page, that basically in the end, and Lord forgive me for using this as an example, but in the end, they might just turn out to be a Judas in the group. They might just turn out to be a Judas that's only out for themselves and nobody else. So, just thought I'd come on here and just give you my thoughts on the recent information that's come out about the situation that obviously it looks like now that they're slowly getting out of when it comes to what caused that Rally for Sally campaign to, in the final month of 2020 and the early portion of 2021, to kind of, hit rough waters that now they're thankfully getting out of. So I just wanted to come on here, give you my thoughts on that. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. And again, obviously, you know who I was talking about by just using initials. But let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll talk to y'all later. Stay safe, God bless, and have a great Saturday.